What's up, guys? I'm Joe. Today I'm talking about the new Tribulation album, Down Below. So, Swedish metal band Tribulation are back. This is their fourth studio album, Down Below. A band that started off more as a straightforward death metal, kind of black metal approach with their first two records, and then in 2015, The Children of the Night came out, which really saw them drastically expanding their sound. This album made a lot of waves. That's where they really, caught my attention. I had not been, privy to the band before then. The death and the black metal influences were clearly there. Definitely, harsh vocals throughout the whole record, same thing as on this one. But they added a sort of gothic texture to it, a very interesting, creepy kind of atmosphere, and ultimately some traditional heavy metal influences as well. You were starting to hear Merciful Fate type influences in there, and then even a sort of rock and roll type feel to some of the songs, all while layered with these immense guitar sounds and this murky kind of feel. The new record Down Below, pushes the envelope even further on that sort of gothic atmosphere. I'm a big fan of this album, and what I really like about it is that it feels very much like an album. I haven't even had the urge to listen to individual songs yet on this thing. I've only felt that I needed to, experience the whole thing at once. Especially once you hit the middle of the record, it starts to take you on this long, winding journey throughout the last half there. To where all the songs just feel essential to one another, that they need to be in one package, which I'm always a big fan of. I'm an album kind of guy, and I especially like when you can just get lost into a record such as this one. I feel the first four tracks on here are extremely solid. I like the songs a lot. But I feel like they're more similar to the last record, where the second half really takes things a little bit further into a newer direction. The Lament gets things off to a sort of soft start before going into, a very driving section. The drums really pull this thing along, but the riffs are actually quite melodic. I like how the rhythm type riff keeps things moving with these actually very nice sounding chords, nonetheless very distorted and heavy. But having this very, nice progression going along. A lead part kind of dances along the top of that, creating that kind of psychedelic feel. I love that the song eventually sort of breaks down, you have just guitar, and everything slowly builds up for the rest of the song. It just keeps adding layers, keeps adding textures to it. The next track, Nightbound, another really great one. I like the way the guitar riffs and the verses here sort of dance around the vocals with that sort of running pattern going on there. As the vocals are kind of juxtaposed apart from it. I think it makes like a pretty interesting effect. The middle section gets into a pretty interesting time signature shift. Very spacey sounding part, almost jazzy sounding drums. And I gotta say, overall, the lead guitars on this album really stand out to me, really catch my ear every time they're coming in full force. I really like the solo going on here. It reminds me of something almost like Iron Maiden-ish, thinking maybe along Somewhere in Time, that album. Not so much the production of the song as a whole, but I get that kind of vibe of it, the way the guitar just kind of waves and noodles around on top of this sort of spacey drum beat. Subterranea has very much of a Ghost type vibe to it. Ghost, another Swedish metal band, who have, broken into the mainstream a lot more mainstream than this band is. This song opens up with a nice soft piano type part, and then before ultimately going into this very crushing riff, very heavy stuff going on here. The way the groove of the verse kind of comes in is very similar to Ghost. Think of a song like Year Zero. Certainly one of the more accessible songs on this album. Kind of surprised that it wasn't a single at first. Definitely a good one. Lady Death, though, is definitely a good option for a single, offering a lot of great heavy riffs as well. Then after Subterranea, you hit this instrumental Purgatorio, very atmospheric, a little unsettling at times. You have a lot of piano and guitar going on, but also there's noisy type stuff going on. I like where this is in the album because it marks a shift, I feel, in the type of sound. Though these first couple songs have the same kind of elements of the later tracks on here, these later tracks really more so bring you onto a journey through very different types of sounds. And they really up the ante of that kind of gothic atmosphere, this kind of horror movie-esque type sound at times. Cries from the Underworld, this one is a huge standout for me, one of my favorites on the album. Like I said, it has a horror movie type vibe to it, the way that guitar lead, that dun 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 dun, just rides on top of the building riffs and the building drums. There's so many peaks and lows of this song, which I really like, and it really, allows for you to get kind of lost in the track. Finally, the song breaks down and it seems like it's going to be over, before that crushing guitar riff comes back in Some really great leads once again on the guitar. And then it ends on a very like high note with these, kind of dueling guitars, very, new wave of British heavy metal sounding, or even having this sort of glam aspect about it. The next track, Lacrimosa, being another huge standout as well, just because it's another one that takes you on all these different musical passages. Many different feels going on in just this one song. A little bit later into this track, it has this very trippy, psychedelic section. It breaks into like a time signature change once again. It has this sort of spacey, alien-sounding type guitar tone, which makes for a really cool section before breaking into a nice piano outro on the track. I think The World would probably be my least favorite on here if I really had to pick one. I think it's an enjoyable track, and it kind of breaks up these sort of long winding songs, because it eventually goes into Here Be Dragons, which is the longest track on the album, and one that really takes you on a journey as well. So having The World kind of in the middle there, I think is a nice break, although it's a track that, doesn't really do as much as some of the others on here. And Here Be Dragons, like I was saying, it's another one like those previous two tracks that just really, takes you on a journey. You get sucked into the track. The instrumentals on this album overall are just fantastic. I think the lead guitar work in the band has improved so drastically. They really have an ear for melody on here. There could be crushing riffs and these atmospheric, creepy moments, but then they'll come in with these, high soaring, amazing guitar lines that really just lift the whole feel of the track up. And finally, Come Become to Be, which is the closing track on here, kind of brings that rock and roll type vibe back for most of the track before once again going into these amazing guitar leads. And the end of the track has this nice driving, groovy section to it, which I think is pretty cool. So overall, really enjoying this one. Tribulation, definitely a band that in my mind has been improving release by release, and this is definitely an early favorite for me as far as metal releases go this year. So I'm feeling a 4.5 out of 5 for this one. Definitely enjoying the album quite a lot. So let me know what you think of the album in the comments, whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong. As always, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.